Hello, my name is Paige, and I, as well as the rest of us, are from Lee County's FFA chapter, and today I'll be talking to you about the advantages and disadvantages of raised garden beds. But before that, what are raised garden beds? Raised garden beds, also called garden boxes, are small plots above ground used to grow a variety of plants, usually vegetables and flowers. Here are 5 disadvantages of raised garden beds. The first is they use more water than soil level beds. The second is excessive heat and drainage. The quicker drainage and increased heating in raised beds can boost the risk of drought and dehydration. The third is poor air circulation. Plants in tight spaces reduce air circulation. This increases moisture levels, which can risk plant disease. The fourth is the roots can dry out quicker in a hot climate, and the fifth is raised beds can be a little pricey purchasing building materials, soil, tools, and etc. Now here are 5 advantages of raised garden beds. The first is they extend the growing season. They thaw faster than the frozen ground come spring and can grow through fall and winter if you use hoop covers. The second is they also provide extra space. Many people plant along the edges of the bed so the plants can grow over the sides, allowing other plants to be put on top, allowing more sunlight. The third is better pest control. Raised beds serve as a barrier to pests like slugs and snails. The fourth is fits more plants. Raised beds allow more plants in a small garden by allowing tighter spacing within the same bed. The last is they are neat. They aren't as messy as some other beds. I feel raised beds would be a fun and great learning experience for all of our ag students, and here are just our advantages and disadvantages.
Raised beds have many benefits such as improved soil conditions, higher yields, and accessibility and maintenance, and water conservation. Many different types of plants can be grown in raised beds, including vegetables, herbs, and annual and perennial flowers. The best vegetables to grow in raised beds are root vegetables, leafy greens, onions, tomatoes, and potatoes. The reason why these certain vegetables thrive in raised garden beds is because they have nutrient-rich and quick-draining soil and space without rocks. However, certain vegetables such as squash, melons, and sweet corn might do better in the ground because of the extensive amount of space they require. Some other vegetables that could be grown in raised beds include lettuce, radishes, strawberries, and many others. Secondly, herbs are used. Oh my god. Secondly, herbs are easy to grow in raised beds because they don't need a whole lot of attention or care. They just need quality soil to grow in. Herbs such as rosemary, mint, oregano, thyme, cilantro, parsley, and basil are common. Because herbs like to be on the drier side, you can easily regulate the water with capillaries that send water to the soil in raised beds when needed. Thirdly, annual and perennial flowers can also be grown in raised garden beds. Any annual will grow in a raised bed such as lobelia, sweet potato vine, and black-eyed Susan, which can be used to cascade over the sides of raised beds. Tall annuals such as sunflower, hollyhock, and tall snapdragon can be placed in the middle of the beds where they can be accessed from all sides. Black-eyed Susans, Shasta daisies, daylily, dianthus, creeping phlox, and coneflowers are all good choices of perennials based on their ease and care. Raised gardens allow plants to have a growing area with better soil, fewer weeds, and fewer rocks. This allows plants such as vegetables, herbs, and annual and perennial flowers to thrive in raised garden beds.
Alrighty. How long does it take for our plants to grow? The soil and the weather can affect the plant growth, because if it gets below 40, it'll kill some plants, but other plants will still be alive. The frost will also damage the plants if it gets too much on it. Whenever we plant, it can't be too early and it can't be too late. It'll be needed for our cafeteria to help feed the kids. We need to take care of the plants with our soil and our minerals that we need. We need to water it every day with each ag class. We'll go outside, we'll pick some weeds out, and we'll take care of our plants. but each plant is different, so we will have to be careful on how we treat each plant. Okay.
So, raised bed gardens have become more popular in recent years. A raised bed garden can improve growing conditions for vegetables and flowers, but only to the extent that it is filled with good quality soil. So, after you have picked a site for your raised bed garden, the next thing you must do is fill it with the correct soil. This can be a bit tricky because experts don't all agree on the topic of the perfect soil mixture. Almost all experts agree that it should include compost. You can also add screen topsoil. Some amendments are perlite, which is an alternative to horticultural vermiculite, gypsum, which improves drainage, sulfur, which increases acidity, coffee or tea grounds, which are a source of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And then, there you go. Sorry for it got messed up in transit. Sorry about that. Some soil mixture recipes are 1/3 peat moss, 1/3 horticultural vermiculite, and 1/3 compost, and soil amendments as needed. Another one is 1/2 screen topsoil and 1/2 compost, and you can add other soil amendments as well. Some tips are, for rich soil quickly, use one of the soil mixture recipes to the left, which is one of these. Making your own soil mixture is best if you're worried about contaminants because you can control the ingredients. And bag mixtures may be the best choice if you do not have access to high quality ingredients to make your own mixture.
I didn't have any fancy cards because I'm not big on writing, so the cost and construction of the raised garden beds was kind of tricky to figure out because I had to call several different lumber stores and carpenters to get their opinions on the most efficient way to spend the money on lumber. We ended up using 18 2 by 10 by 16 foot treated boards, and we used a treated lumber because it keeps the wood from rotting where it's sitting on the ground. Also, we had 18 2 by 4 by 16 foot treated boards. Those are going to be used for the trim. And we estimated roughly about 10 pounds of 3-inch star head screws. The star head helps torque the screws in better to the treated lumber. There's the side view of it, and that is the individual pieces, one being 16 foot long, and then the 2 foot sections that there's going to be 8 beds, so that's 2 16 foot boards apiece. And then the other 2 are going to be cut into 2 foot sections, and those are going to be capped for the end. And the 2x4 trim, which is going to go on the top, it's going to have a 45-degree cut on each end, which just looks better. And once all that's fastened together, it'll be screwed onto the top of the beds, and that'll provide a place to sit when planting and harvesting the produce. That way you don't really get tired standing up and you have a sore back and all that. And then all the screws, they're going to be countersink, and the holes are going to be plugged purely for aesthetic purposes. And lumber by itself costed $710, and that's with $25 per 2 by 10 by 16, and $10.35 per 2 by 4 by 16, and that's also the 10 pounds of screws. And the grant was for $1,000. And with the soil amendments and all, it ended up being like $986 for that. So, yeah. Is there any questions?